On a cool January morning in 1979, the children of Cleveland Elementary School in San Diego gathered by the front gate. Some swapped baseball cards, others kicked at the dirt, waiting for the bell. Across the street, a 16-year-old girl leaned against her bedroom window. Her name was Brenda Spencer. She had red hair that hung limp around her face and eyes that seemed distant even to those who knew her. On her lap rested a Ruger .22 caliber rifle. It wasn't stolen, it wasn't bought on the street. It was a Christmas gift from her father, wrapped in shiny paper with a box of ammunition tied neatly with a bow. At 8:30 a.m., Brenda raised the rifle and fired into the crowd of children. The first bullet struck a boy in the chest. He collapsed as his friends screamed and scattered. Principal Burton Ragg ran forward, waving children toward safety. She shot him too. He fell at the front gate, dying in front of his students. Moments later, custodian Mike Suker rushed two children toward cover. Brenda gunned him down as well. For 20 minutes, Brenda fired relentlessly. 8 more children and a police officer were wounded. Sirens echoed as ambulances lined the street. Across the road, Brenda calmly reloaded, staring through the scope as if it were a video game. When police surrounded her house, she surrendered. Reporters shouted questions. Why had she done it? Why shoot children? Brenda's answer became infamous. "I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day." Her words haunted America. In court, prosecutors showed she had planned the shooting. Her defense argued mental illness, but the jury rejected it. Brenda pled guilty to 2 counts of murder and multiple counts of assault. She was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Survivors and victims' families still appear at her hearings to block her release. She remains behind bars. Brenda Spencer didn't look like a killer. She looked like the girl who might babysit your kids, who might sit quietly in class. That contradiction shocked America most. For decades, people told themselves she was a horrific exception, but she wasn't. 45 years later, another girl shattered the illusion. September 19, 2024. Madison, Wisconsin. Morning rush at Abundant Life Christian School. Children filled the halls. Teachers prepped their lessons. Then gunfire ripped through the building. 15-year-old Natalie Samantha Rupnow had hidden a handgun in her backpack. Without a word, she opened fire. The first shots echoed down the corridor. A teacher collapsed at his classroom door. A student fell, fatally wounded. Panic spread. Kids shoved desks against doors, whispering prayers. Others hid in closets, texting their parents, "I love you. I don't know if I'll make it." Outside, chaos exploded. Parents pressed against police tape, begging to be let through. SWAT teams stormed the school. Helicopters hovered overhead, cameras capturing children sprinting out with their hands raised. When detectives searched Natalie's room later, they found notebooks filled with violent sketches, guns, skulls, revenge fantasies. Her laptop revealed searches about past shootings. Teachers admitted she had grown withdrawn, stopped turning in homework, and posted dark jokes online. Nobody thought she'd follow through, until she did. Natalie was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder and multiple counts of attempted murder. Less than 3% of school shootings are committed by girls. But there she was, proving again that danger can wear an innocent face. The next horrors in schools didn't come from rifles, they came from trusted adults. In Illinois, 2025, a middle school teacher faced 52 felony counts of sexual assault and grooming. She had preyed on boys barely into their teens. At first, she praised them. She told them they were special. Then she crossed line after line. Investigators found explicit messages. On her phone, "Delete this before anyone sees." In another, promises to leave her husband for a teenage boy. She used tutoring sessions, school trips, and late-night texts to isolate her victims. Prosecutors described systematic grooming. Mothers sobbed as evidence was read. Fathers shouted she should never walk free. Neighbors were stunned. She had once been beloved. Now she was branded predator. That same year in Pennsylvania, detectives raided a high school teacher's home after a cyber tip. They uncovered nude photos sent to a 14-year-old, chat logs arranging secret meetings, and the chilling line, "This is our little secret." The boy later said he felt trapped, manipulated by someone twice his age. When the teacher appeared in court, she wept as deputies cuffed her. Her mugshot splashed across every screen. Parents realized predators don't always lurk in alleys. Sometimes they stand at the front of the classroom. If teachers could betray trust, prisons offered an even darker twist. In Pennsylvania, investigators arrested a female corrections officer after whispers spread among staff. She lingered in certain pods longer than she should have. Inmates treated her differently. Records revealed contraband phones, money transfers, and explicit images exchanged with prisoners. Court documents described sex in closets, drugs smuggled in laundry bags, and late-night calls on hidden phones. The uniform that should have enforced order had instead shattered it. Then Tennessee made headlines. Multiple rookie female officers, some barely out of training, were caught smuggling drugs, alcohol, and phones into jail while carrying on sexual relationships with inmates. It started with flirty texts. Soon they snuck in marijuana, liquor, even weapons. Some bragged about boyfriends behind bars. One even posted online she was dating a gangster. The fallout was chaos. Gangs fought over contraband. Riots erupted. Supervisors scrambled to restore control. News outlets plastered the officers' mugshots. Some smiled like it was a joke. Others cried as careers ended in handcuffs. Whether manipulated or complicit, the betrayal was complete. But betrayal isn't confined to schools or prisons. Sometimes it hides behind picket fences. 1985, Henderson County, Texas. Deputies digging in the backyard of Betty Lou Beets pulled stones from a wishing well. Beneath the soil, they found her husband, Jimmy Don Beets. In her garage, they uncovered another body, her fourth husband, Doyle Wayne Barker. Betty Lou had been married 5 times. Each relationship ended in disaster. Prosecutors painted her as a black widow who lured men, insured them, and buried them. Neighbors who once waved across the fence now read headlines, "Black Widow of Texas." Her trial became a spectacle. The prosecution described how she tricked men, cashed life insurance, and buried bodies like trash. What the jury didn't hear: Betty Lou's past of poverty, deafness from illness, beatings from her father, and sexual abuse. Her lawyer never told it, because he had forced her to sign over rights to her story. The worse she looked, the more money he could make selling it. Her children were divided. Some testified against her, saying they helped drag bodies and lived in fear. Others begged for mercy, saying she was a victim of abuse. The jury wasn't swayed. In October 1985, Betty Lou Beets was sentenced to death. She spent 15 years on death row. On February 24, 2000, she ate her last meal, salad, bread, coffee. She refused final words, then the drugs flowed. To some it was justice, to others betrayal, by her lawyer, by men, by a system that sold her before it defended her. December 16, 2004, Skidmore, Missouri. Bobby Jo Stinnett, a 23-year-old dog breeder, was expecting her first child in weeks. That morning, she welcomed a visitor, Lisa Montgomery. Lisa smiled, complimented the dogs, and talked about puppies. But when Bobby Jo turned her back, Lisa wrapped a rope around her throat. With cold precision, she cut open Bobby Jo's abdomen and lifted the baby out. Hours later, Bobby Jo's mother found the horrific scene. Meanwhile, Lisa drove across state lines, showing the baby off as if it were her own. The FBI tracked her down within 24 hours. They stormed her home and found her calmly holding the newborn. At trial, her defense told a story of trauma, years of rape, brain damage, delusion. Prosecutors countered with planning. Online research of C-sections, lies about being pregnant, the staged visit. Lisa Montgomery was convicted and sentenced to death. Appeals cited her mental illness, but in 2021, at Terre Haute Federal Prison, she became the first woman executed by the U.S. government in nearly 70 years. Protesters shouted outside, some for justice, others against cruelty. Hospitals promised safety, but even there, trust was broken. At the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Northampton, Massachusetts, nurse Kristen Gilbert earned a nickname, the Angel of Death. Whenever she worked, patients flatlined. Investigators discovered she injected adrenaline into veins, forcing cardiac arrest. Then she'd rush in to save them. Some survived, others didn't. At least 4 veterans died under her watch. Colleagues suspected many more. She killed not for profit, but for the thrill of playing hero. In 2001, Kristen Gilbert was convicted of murder and sentenced to life without parole. Across the ocean, another nurse betrayed families in ways even darker. Lucy Letby worked nights in a neonatal unit in Cheshire, England. To parents, she seemed angelic, gentle, soft-spoken, smiling as she cared for fragile infants. But she injected air into veins, poisoned milk with insulin, and sabotaged breathing tubes. Between 2015 and 2016, 7 babies died and a dozen more nearly perished. Doctors noticed patterns, raised alarms, but hospital administrators hesitated, unwilling to accuse a trusted nurse. Only when deaths piled too high did the truth surface. In 2023, Lucy Letby was sentenced to life with no chance of release. Parents wept outside the courthouse. Doctors who had tried to stop her asked why no one had listened sooner. From San Diego schoolyards to Missouri living rooms, from Texas backyards to Tennessee prisons, the stories share one pattern. They are rare, but when women commit these crimes, the betrayal hits harder. A teenage girl with freckles, a teacher praised by parents, a rookie guard in uniform, a grandmother with gray curls, a nurse with a soft smile. None looked like killers. And that is what makes their crimes unforgettable. These cases went viral because they shattered trust. Parents send children to school expecting safety. Families place inmates under guard expecting discipline. Patients lie in hospital beds expecting care. Husbands marry expecting love, and in every case, the danger came from the very person expected to protect. What makes it darker is how society consumes it. Headlines crown nicknames: Black Widow, Angel of Death. Meanwhile, the messy truths of abuse, neglect, and missed warnings get buried. Lawyers profit from clients' notoriety. Schools hide red flags to protect reputations. Hospitals ignore alarms to preserve prestige. And lives are lost in the silence between image and reality. They looked safe until the second they weren't. And once the mask slips, the story never goes back in the box.